Apple's latest MacBook Pro hews closely to the current design we know and love. In fact, this MacBook Pro 14-inch laptop is essentially the same design as the last model, but inside is finally the M4 Apple Silicon that we first saw on the iPad Pro earlier this year. It is a zippy 3nm chip that is backed by 16 gigabytes of RAM. Now that's a first for the base model. That can level all the way up to an M4 Max configuration. Not only does that deliver enough power for all of your photo and video editing tasks, but the machine is ready to game and manage some serious AI. And by AI, I mean Apple Intelligence, of course. Now, the pair of externally visible changes boil down to just a couple of things. You have the new 12-megapixel center stage FaceTime camera. This can keep you in frame, even if you move around. That's 1080p of resolution and you're in the screen. There's also the new nano etch screen. Now, this is an extra $150 option, but it is 100% worth it to essentially kill most of your annoying screen reflections. There is so much more to cover. So let's start at the beginning. So pricing starts at $1,599. That gets you the 16 gigabytes of RAM and 512 gigabytes of storage. As I said, the design, virtually the same as the previous model. All the key ports, they're still there, so the dimensions are unchanged from last time. It's about 12.31 inches by 8.71 inches by a little bit more than a half inch thick. It weighs 3.4 pounds, but different configurations might be a little bit more. As I mentioned, if you like last MacBook Pro, you are going to love this. My model here is the classy Space Black, which also does a pretty decent job of repelling fingerprints. It's made of 100% recycled aluminum. Apple didn't mess with the ports. I still have the 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports. Now, if you want Thunderbolt 5, that's only with the M4 Pro models. Pro users will, of course, appreciate the SD card slot, which is great for your photos and your videos that you want to transfer, and the HDMI port, which is for connecting to big high-resolution screens. There's also still the 3.5mm headphone jack. I love that that thing is sticking around. The backlit Magic Keyboard is one of my favorite typing surfaces. Each key has just the right amount of travel and tactile feedback. The monster trackpad with Force Touch, it's so big and it's so responsive. I also like the speakers on either side of the keyboard. They can get loud, but without any distortion. And yes, of course, it supports spatial audio. The system's 4.2-inch Liquid Retina ProMotion, that means up to 120 Hz display, is just as good as before. It still has the same 3024 by 1964 resolution and those inky blacks. The 1000 nits brightness now extends to SDR content. HDR gets you up to about 1600, of course that's outdoors. The other big update, and my favorite display flourish, is the new nano etch screen. This helps diffuse reflected light so you can see the screen clearly in almost situation. That means outdoor, in sunlight. Now I know it's a $150 upgrade. I still recommend it. Everything from games and video to web browsing and Google Drive looks great on the screen. Apple's new M4 chip easily surpasses the M3 I have in my MacBook Air. The leap from the M2 Max on the previous MacBook Pro, it's not that huge, but my tests and the benchmarks prove this laptop has power to spare. It has no trouble with AAA games like Lies of P and Shadow of the Tomb Raider. The action was smooth and the atmospherics were impressive. I pushed this system with raw photo editing in Lightroom and 4K video editing in Final Cut Pro, often doing all of these things at once. I was running apps, Chrome, Safari, you name it. The only place it stumbled a bit was when I tried to edit 4 4K 120 frame per second videos at the same time. Once I replaced them with 4 4K 30 frame per second videos, the laptop and the app stopped dropping frames. Now those, by the way, those came from my iPhone 16 Pro Max, which can now shoot at 4K 120 frames per second. Let's talk a little bit about software. macOS 15 or Sequoia is an excellent and well-organized platform. I've been using the Mac consistently for almost 2 years now, and it's all become second nature. Nothing about the new platform is confusing or unnatural. The updates, like the new Passwords app and highlights in Safari, are all useful. iPhone mirroring is super cool. I still can't believe I can control my entire iPhone from my laptop, but I also haven't figured out why I need this. Let's talk about Apple Intelligence. The system still has a somewhat limited preview of Apple Intelligence. You get email summaries, and a lot of writing tools that are in most places where you can actually write across the platform, including notes. I used it at one point to organize my really messy meeting notes into a nice bulleted list. I also installed the dev beta, which gave me a better look at Apple Intelligence. It brings features like cleanup in Photos, ChatGPT integration, which really looks like it's part of Siri. Oh, and Siri does have a whole new look. I liked using it in text to Siri modes, which means I can just type in without speaking. And I did find I could enable some system level features just by typing them in. The beta preview also gives me access to Image Playground. Now, this is Apple's version of AI image creation, and it is a lot of fun. Now, Apple is promising up to 24 hours of battery life, but that's just if you stream video all day long. Varied use will change that number. In fact, our tests got around 18 hours or 18 and a half hours, which is still incredible for a pro-level laptop. Overall, this is just an excellent system. Now, I know you can get one that's even more powerful and with a larger screen. That would be the 16-inch MacBook Pro model, but that'll be a lot more expensive. This is a well-designed workhorse for most people that can handle virtually any task you throw at it and look good doing it. Now, if the MacBook Air M3 doesn't offer enough power and you don't mind an extra pound in your backpack, there may be no better pro-grade laptop than the MacBook Pro 14 with M4. Everything I discussed here is linked in the video description, along with the best pricing available for this excellent MacBook Pro 14. If you have any questions or want more product reviews, message us in the comments below.